oriented things such as an enzyme is going to be degraded, right? Because we talked about pH, the effect of pH on proteins. Now, when we get into the small intestine, now we have enzymatic activity again. So we have pancreatic amylase, pancreatic protease, pancreatic lipase, right? And so we know which ones digest which. Amylase does carbohydrates, lipase does the lipids, and the protease will do protein. Okay, know the role of bile and the pancreatic digestive juices. We've gone over that just now, right? Bile is for what? Lipids is going to facilitate the digestion of lipids, and pancreatic juices such as your enzymes, amylase, protease, and lipase, as well as the bicarbonate. Know the roles of each one of those. Okay, know about the transport of nutrients and waste. Okay, so when it comes to the transport of nutrients and waste, how are these nutrients waste transported?
Segmentation.
Well, he was on the right track. You have two ways that they are transported. Two systems that are involved. He said what?
Cardiovascular.
Well, that's part of the blood. Okay, blood travels through the cardiovascular system. So as these cells in your intestine absorb the nutrients are going to be put into the blood vessels, which they can be carried off to different parts of the body. Okay, and then the waste from those cells also going to go into the blood system, and then therefore transferred back into the digestive system so that it can be put out as waste. What's the other system that we're talking about? The one that travels parallel to cardiovascular system. The lymphatic system. And so the lymphatic system, you have lacteals that are going to pick up most of your lipids and your fat-soluble vitamins. And part of, where are you guys going?
Emergency.
Oh, okay. All right. Have fun. Okay, so most of your lipids and your fat-soluble vitamins will be transported through your lymphatic system. All right, so know the difference between peristalsis and segmentation. What's the difference between peristalsis and segmentation?
Peristalsis, where just your muscles are contracting efficient. Segmentation is normally in your colon.
Okay, so you have peristalsis, which is the muscles of the intestines that are pushing it through and making that fluid stuff go through the intestines. And then segmentation is where you have it, this is a unique pattern of motility. So you have these circular longitudinal muscles that will contract and relax to mix up the chyme, and it's also going to help enhance the digestive juices and contact with the enterocytes. And so peristalsis is just moving it through, and whereas the segmentation is the muscles that are basically squeezing, pinching, and moving it so that you have this good mixture and contact with the enterocytes. Enterocytes are those cells to which food is going to be absorbed, right? All right, so what controls, that's, okay, know what controls contraction and secretion of the GI tract. I don't know why I put that in there. Maybe there's an answer in here somewhere. Oh, involuntary muscles. Know that the muscles of the GI tract are involuntary. Know the digestive disorders, all of them. So let's go to digestive disorders. Belching, I guess, is a digestive disorder that's primarily caused to swallowing air, eating too much too fast, your dentures aren't properly fitted, or chewing gum. Flatulence, this is intestinal gas. This is actually a normal process. Foods that are rich in fiber, starches, and sugar will cause this. Your bacteria will act to partially digest these carbohydrates. And when we talked about, remember when I talked about some of the causes of the symptoms of lactose intolerance? This is part of that as well, where these bacteria are going to be causing this gas to form. You may have a fat substitute, such as cholesterol or sugar alcohol, that may cause this. Heartburn. Heartburn is caused by hydrochloric acid from the esophagus. The condition is called GERD, where you have this gastroesophageal reflux disease. And so you have this regurgitation of that fluid from your stomach. You might want to look at the causes of GERD, such as hiatal hernia, cigarette smoking or alcohol use, being overweight, pregnancy, chocolate, citrus or spicy or fried foods, large high-fat meal, and laying down too soon after a meal. Peptic ulcers. What is the cause of peptic ulcers?
Spicy food.
Negative.
H.
H. pylori, a bacteria. Spicy foods will exacerbate the condition, meaning that the H. pylori gets into those cells and destroys the mucosal cells, which now opens it up so that those spicy foods that you eat when you have this acid from your stomach, meeting that and that spicy food, and will cause damage to the wall of your stomach. Let's see. Food intolerances. What's the difference between food intolerance and a food allergy?
The allergy causes a reaction. Like yeah.
A histamine reaction. It's an immune reaction to a food. Food intolerance meaning that you're going to have a cluster of GI symptoms such as gas, pain, and diarrhea, and that's usually going to occur with the consumption of certain foods. Celiac disease. What is celiac disease?
You can't eat gluten.
True, but why is it you can't eat gluten? Well, not because your body don't like it, because your body does not produce a protein in order to, does not produce the enzyme. You have a decreased enzyme that is not going to allow you to metabolize gliadin, which is the protein of gluten. And so you end up having vomiting, reflux, or cyclic vomiting. Crohn's disease. What is Crohn's disease?
I don't even know how to spell that. How do you spell that?
C-R-O-H-N apostrophe S.
Oh.
Named after the doctor, the last name of Crohn, who found it. It's an inflammatory bowel disease that can affect any area of the GI tract. Remember the video I showed you about the difference between Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis? They say that it's possibly an immune system reaction to a virus or bacteria. Ulcerative colitis is a chronic disease characterized by inflammation and ulceration of the mucosa, the innermost lining of the colon. Also could be immune response to viral or bacterial disease. It is similar to Crohn's, but remember that with Crohn's, it's going to be patchy, so it's going to come and go, whereas ulcerative colitis is more progressive, where it starts in one area and will spread. Diarrhea, frequent passage of loose or watery stools can be caused by food intolerances, medications, or other bowel disorders, can lead to severe dehydration, more dangerous in children and the elderly. Constipation, infrequent hard or small or difficult to pass stools. Eat a high fiber diet and you'll be all right. Irritable bowel syndrome is a disorder that interferes with normal colon functions. You get symptoms such as abdominal cramps, bloating, with either diarrhea or constipation, sometimes associated with stress, caffeine, large meals, chocolate, alcohol, or dairy or wheat intake. All right, so that is that one. Know how carbohydrates are made. How are they made? Where do we get carbohydrates from, really?
Bread.
Okay, bread is made from what? And wheat is a what?
Grain.
Plant. Okay? And so plants go through photosynthesis and produce these carbohydrates. That's how you get the carbohydrates. What are carbohydrates made up of as far as their chemicals? Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. Know what carbohydrates are consistent of. Know what monosaccharides and disaccharides are. What's a monosaccharide? One subunit of a saccharide. These are what we call monomers. Disaccharide is a combination of two. And so if I was to say that I wanted to make sucrose, what two monosaccharides do I use to make sucrose? Easiest one is glucose. Glucose is in all three of them. So glucose and what? Huh? Huh?
Or no?
Glucose and fructose. In order to make lactose, what am I using? Glucose and galactose. If I'm making maltose, what am I using? Glucose and glucose. So make sure you know those combinations. Glucose and glucose makes maltose.
Can't you just say glucose?
No, because now it's a disaccharide, not a monosaccharide. I didn't name them. Scientists long time before me were dead, they're the ones that named them.
That's fun.
Well, we can dig them up and ask them why.
Okay.
So what's the difference between a simple and a complex carbohydrate? Simple is going to be a very simple chain of sugars, whereas a complex is you're going to have a multitude of monosaccharides joined together to make your starches, your glycogen, and other larger, and fiber as well. Those are your complex carbohydrates. Know which enzyme breaks down carbohydrates? Amylase. Amylase. Know why carbohydrates are not digested in the stomach?
Wait, what's that?
Amylase is an enzyme, but why are carbohydrates not digested in the stomach?
Because the amylase gets neutralized.
It gets neutralized by the acidic nature of the stomach. Know the primary function of glycogen? What's the primary function of glycogen?
You have to have it to aid with the insulin.
Glycogen, not glucagon, glycogen. So if I was to say liver glycogen, or muscle glycogen, storage form of glucose in our bodies. That's the main function of glycogen.